Hi everyone, it is Lana again. Today we are going to be talking about building math lessons in Seesaw. And that title is actually a little off because math lessons have already been created for you. Two of the people who have created math lessons for you include Stephanie Feen, the distance learning coordinator at Banfield Elementary, who we'll be talking to today. She has 21 years in education in many different roles and is currently teaching the distance learning students at Banfield. And Jared Osgood, tech integrationist at Southgate Elementary. He's been the tech integrationist for 5 years, and he taught 4th and 5th grade for 12 years. Two of my favorite people to work with at Austin Public Schools. We're going to be talking about just generally teaching math and distance learning, what they've learned thus far in their role. Jared is also developing math lessons for the broader district, but specifically for Southgate, what resources they use to streamline making math lessons, their approach to building math lessons, screen recording, and Seesaw, and then accessing and adapting their lessons through the Seesaw Activity Library. So we'll talk about all those things. Before we jump into the interview with them, I just want to talk about what you're going to hear from Stephanie and Jared is a little bit different process than what we have talked about thus far. They used process A. So they open all of the resources, your math curriculum and the workbook and whatever other tools they want. They have them up on their desktop. And then they do one screen recording or maybe multiple screen recordings where they're just recording everything they're doing on their desktop and then going in between tabs, and then they import that video into Seesaw. That is definitely one way to do it, and we're going to show you how to do it today. It is a way we have not talked about thus far. And so the other process is a little bit more in line with what we've talked about thus far. If you don't want to have to use an outside tool to screen record, you can open these resources or whatever resources you want to, you're going to be using to teach math for your curriculum. You can import images and slides from that math resource using the snip tool or saving the image. And then you'd import them into a Seesaw page and then do your screen recording right in Seesaw like we had before. Two different ways. They're both going to result in kind of a similar product on Seesaw. In the end, the activity needs to live in Seesaw, but I just want to overview that before we jump in. So let's start the interview. Hi, everyone. I am Lana Peterson. I'm here with
Stephanie Feen
and Jared Osgood.
Both who have been teaching distance learning math this year and also have been putting together some lessons for you to use or to draw upon if we ever needed to go to distance learning this year as well. We're going to go over their experience thus far, how they go and put together their lessons, some things that they've learned, and then some possible advice as you get started or investigate what math could look like in a distance learning format. So maybe to start off, just what have you learned thus far in your positions teaching those who have opted in for distance learning related to math, both in a synchronous, so live, or asynchronous format?
I start off, I have 4 grades that I teach for math, so beginning distance learning, and this was a new experience for me. Having lessons ready, I wasn't there. And there was a bit of fear, and I just wasn't ready for that. And so I was teaching the math lessons live to those 4 grades. But since then, I have gained confidence, learned something, and actually just getting the first video done gave me the confidence to understand how to put together a great math lesson and how to assign it to students. And I tell you what, it has saved my life time-wise and anxiety-wise, because I'm able to just go to that lesson, assign it to students, and now when I meet with them face-to-face in the small group, I can really give them the attention where before I was just rushing through to get through content, but now I can connect on that content and actually give them one-on-one attention and feedback. And I will point out, to have Jared, I know you're going to speak, but to have a team member, somebody that you rely on, because we can't do this ourselves. There is no possible way that I can create 16 live videos a week. It's really hard, but having it done and having a team member and somebody to help you to share in the work has been invaluable.
When we started this journey, we didn't quite have enough knowledge about distance learning, and we all had our own ideas. And so after collaborating together, we were able to come up with a plan, come up with a template that we felt was going to work for everyone.
So you're about to sit down and make a math lesson. What do you have pulled up on your computer? What do you have in front of you? What's kind of your process for how you approach it? What tools are you using when you create this lesson?
Yeah, it's all right. When I get ready to do a lesson, I pull up, just as Jared said, the McGraw-Hill curriculum in teacher mode, and I have the presentation, and it kind of becomes secondhand. You do the editor first, and you hide all the slides that you don't want, and you leave present the ones that you do want. I additionally pull up the student book, and I get on the page where actually the My Math starts, and I use that dually when I'm doing my lesson. Additionally, I'm going to pull up Seesaw and get into my activities. So I have an activities page ready so I can add my activities. So those are the three main things that I have ready when I'm going to do my lesson, and my stylus. My stylus is super important to me, and making sure that it's charged. If I'm going to get ready to film a math lesson, what I do is I open two tabs. I have my McGraw-Hill, and I go into the plan and present mode. And so I find my chapter and my lesson. And then this presentation mode over here where it says launch editor, that's where I go in and I figure out what I want to keep and what I want to hide. And for the format that we created for the district, we chose to keep all of the title page, the essential question, and the problems of the day, and the quick checks with the answers. And we go through those quickly with the students. And then what we decided to do was to hide the build. And again, you can go back and do your own videos and add those. But what we did is we jumped right into Math in My World. And I hid the answers because those are the problems that we're actually going to be working out with the students. So I hid the answers, and then I stopped when I got to talk math. Now, I didn't worry about hiding the rest of these because it would just kind of be a moot point. I just stop when I get to that talk math part and just end the video. So that's what I did. And when you click this out, it just saves it. So then what I do is I go to launch customize presentation. And then I just make sure I have that presentation and I have it to that size. And then I have another tab open to McGraw-Hill. I'm going to minimize this one, but I have it open to the actual student book. And you don't have to do this. I find this way just worked for me. And then I get right into the ebook. I'm going to close that one, and I get it to the page of the My World, Math in My World. And then what I do is I start and I just say, welcome, today is chapter 6, lesson 1. It is add tens, and then I go into the essential question we've been asking ourselves, and then I go through all of the problems of the day. And if you go too quickly, obviously it's gonna it'll get double pages. But also when you get to that quick check, it's usually a reminder from the previous lesson. So I just say, remember, in the previous lesson, we worked on such and such. Think about that as you do that. And I say, press pause to complete and press play to continue. And then I go until I get to that Math in My World page, and I switch to the student book. And this just has taken a little bit of practice for me to get comfortable with it, but now it's kind of like second nature. But what I do is I get my pen ready and I use my stylus and I just write right on this screen, and I make it larger, and I do that right in this on this page in the book. Now, if there are questions that ask for base 10 blocks or I need manipulatives, I do go back because to the presentation mode, because here's where you can get your base 10 blocks. But another option that you might need is you might need a fresh big piece of paper. And I use this to tell students that this is like your notebook piece of paper. So when you have your math notebook, I do too, And this is my math notebook. And sometimes I have writing on there. I don't even worry about it. I use it as an opportunity to say, go ahead and get a fresh sheet of paper. And I take that time to just clear this sheet for me. If I can do everything though in the book, I do like to do that. Then I get into the guided practice and I get my pen ready with my stylus and I go in really big to this top part and I always say, now, if you're doing your work or your homework and then it gets really tricky and really hard and you have an adult or a grown up at your house that can help you, this is the spot you're always going to want to come back to, this guided practice. It's like a mini lesson and you can show them, this is what we learned today. Can you help me? And then I go through and I just work the rest of the lesson and look right here. Remember how I said I end with that talk math slide? Well, essentially the talk math is right in the book and that's where I do end. And then I end with saying today we worked on whatever it was. So that's how I record my lessons. And then I go ahead and it's saved. And I'm sure that Lana will show you how I told you that you can save, download, and then upload this lesson into Seesaw.
Exactly. And I think it's gotten faster. It's gotten faster for you as you've been doing this over the time that it was a much bigger lift at the beginning, but then once you start that process, it gets a little bit quicker and a little bit quicker. So not to get discouraged if it's seeming like it's taking an extraordinary amount of time at first, and then you just got to get that flow down a little bit, right?
Yes.
I agree.
All right. Which one of you wants to talk us through a math lesson that you've created?
All right. So I'm going to share with you something that saved me a ton of times. There's new updates and tools in Seesaw. And like Jer said, when we started this, it just seemed daunting and overwhelming and you're creating things one at a time. But I did something called creating a template. So this is my template. I'm just trying to get your faces over here. All right, friends. So I've got my template and I started off and Mr. Osgood did help me with this first screen. And that is something just snipping and bringing into the first slide and having that eye-catching ignite statement that says, are you ready to learn? Make sure you have all of your tools ready. So that was super important to have on that first page. And I'm going to click edit mode just so you can see how we started. So that was that example attached right there. And then the other template is the title. The title I made generic. Obviously, it's the grade that you're working with, it's math, and then chapter, and then I just left the lesson so it can go back when I copy it and add that in. And then these directions right here are going to be consistent across every single lesson, except your homework pages. You'll go in and edit. Then when it came to a template, and you need to use a template mode because it has this beautiful option of adding all these multi-pages. And so again, that first slide, or when you add a page, is going to be that eye-catching, are you ready? It's announcing this is math. Then the second slide I added is blank because that's where your recorded lesson is going to go. And then the third slide, obviously there's our blank because it's a template, but this is where a talk math question will be snipped and added in. The fourth slide, I colored it green. And we have that awesome tool right here where you can just change the background color. And I chose that mint green. I know it seems silly, but it's something that's in the McGraw-Hill math curriculum, as that green is independent practice. And so that's where we put a little example in there, and it's a mini lesson. We recorded right on there the mini lesson. And then the slide after that is another independent practice question that they can do on their own. And we had a template of a text box that says click the microphone and pencil to solve. And Mr. Osgood said, it's just a great idea for us to put in the microphone because there's nothing better as a teacher than hearing your own students explain problems to you. And I said, you are absolutely right. So we made sure that we put that in there. And then the last slide is a homework slide, generic, but then we can put the page in there. So that is the math template. So when I get done making that template and I want to go on to each lesson, let's say I'm creating chapter 3 for third grade. I'm going to open that template and the three dots right on the bottom. I'm going to click that, and where it says copy and edit, now all I have to do is type in the lesson number and the title. And then additionally, I edit the homework pages. And then I go into my template, and now I'm ready to, then I go into my downloads, and let's say I do chapter 3, lesson 1. That's where I'm going to pop in my lesson that I recorded in Microsoft Stream, and it's right in Office 365, so you can use that. I lock it into place. Then I go on to my next screen, and that's where I can edit and put all my snips from the math book. Sometimes we want to take items from our textbook and snip it and put it right into Seesaw. And the way that you do that is you click Windows Shift S. And can you see my snippet tool come up? Did my screen turn dark?
Yep.
And do you see the little plus sign down in the left-hand corner? You're going to drag and highlight, and that's saving it right there. And you just go back to your Seesaw page, and you just click Control V, and that's going to paste it right into your Seesaw page. If you have things that you've snipped and you've saved like that, and you want to access them, you can click Windows V, and your clipboard will pull up, so you can just scroll through and find what you need to.
So a snipping tool is crucial, really, because you can make things so fast, and the graphics already created. You're not sitting there typing anything in. But snipping tools are for things that are not moving. So they're not for videos. For videos, we're going to use your stream. If you need to like record something that's live, or record you interacting with the math curriculum. But if you just need to take a snip, that's going to be the fastest way to get it into your Seesaw activity.
Okay, so you're in Seesaw and you want some linking cubes, right? So I need to open a browser, and I just do a little Google search for a little linking cube. Okay, today I'm doing this linking cube, but you would probably have this saved already. And if I can show you on my desktop, I do have a folder saved with just Seesaw or basic icons that I might want to just copy and paste or upload into Seesaw. A cube today is not one of them. So I will find this cube right here. And I'm just going to take a little snip of this cube. So I do my Windows Shift S and get my little snipping tool right there. And I go back to Seesaw, and I'm going to add a page. And let's say this problem that I'm importing needs a linking cube. Clearly it comes up way too big. So the problem that you actually usually import, it shows a picture of the cube, and I make it exactly that size so that students can answer with exactly that size. And then all you have to do is Control C, it copied it, and then Control V as many times as you want, and you get linking cubes. That's the beautiful part of this because of the tools, shapes. We do have base 10 blocks, but there are no linking cubes. So that's how you can get linking cubes into your math lesson. But I do edit this page as well by putting in the math pages.
Okay. So in that last example, Steph just shared, and she referred to using Stream and importing the video into Seesaw. And that's something that we haven't talked about yet. But because there is content on McGraw-Hill and they wanted to capture that content, that's something that you can't do just right within Seesaw. And so they have several different tabs up, and they use Microsoft Stream in your Microsoft 365 to record everything happening on their desktop in different tabs. And then they save that and upload it into Seesaw. And Steph will share kind of how that works. You just saw her take a file and upload it into a page in Seesaw. You can do this if you want to use the McGraw-Hill content. If not, their videos are already embedded into the Seesaw activity as well too. So we're going to show you how you import video into Seesaw, but you do not have to do that. But if you're interested in capturing other things on your screen, this is a strategy for how to do that.
All right, within Office 365, and I'm going to go back to this because these are our apps. And if you can't see stream right away, you can click all apps and it'll show you everything. So it'll show all the apps that are available to you. And stream has that triangle. So you open stream. And to start, you click create. And you're going to record your screen. And right down here, there is a 15-minute time limit, but because of student learning, 15 minutes is quite a long time. So it's actually the perfect amount of time for you to record. And if you need to do a different page in Seesaw, then you can add another additional video. But to record, you click that button right there. And I am on with a meeting right now, so it won't allow me. But what will happen is your picture will pop up in the right-hand corner. I don't love to be on the video, so I X that out and stop it. And then you are just going to click the screen and it'll give you a countdown of 3, 2, 1, and then it will allow you to record your screen. And after that's finished, to find your video, you go into my content because these are your videos that you have recorded. You go under videos and it takes a little bit to load, but whatever video that you just created or you want to share, what you need to do to get it into Seesaw is find the video, go way over to the right and to the 3 dots. And if you click that, it says download video. So I just download video and it'll pop up in the left-hand corner that it's downloading. And it might even start playing for 2 seconds just to let you know, just like this, to let you know that it has done that. And then for me to get it into a Seesaw activity, I'm just gonna jump into Seesaw right here. I'll click a new activity, but down here in my template, where it says upload, where I'm on drawing, okay? And I had all these pages, remember? We created all those pages, and on page 2, that is where we uploaded our videos. They have this beautiful option of this camera, and you click upload. And you wanna find right here where it says downloads in your computer, and then all you have to do is search for the video that you just downloaded, click on it, and open, and it will appear, continue uploading, and that's how you get it into a slide.
All right, now Jared's going to show us an actual created lesson and kind of talk through his thinking with that lesson.
All right, so as you can see, the header is always going to be the same. The main page, we decided to stay consistent with each grade level to put the grade level math book on the front so that students are able to find it easily. Within the template, we're going to go through a lesson. Like Steph said earlier, making sure students are prepared and have their materials ready to go. The next slide will be the lesson, will be the content. And it does start with some review. It starts with some test prep, and then it rolls right into the lesson with the objective for the day. Within that lesson, the content will be taught, but also students will be following along with the guided practice. They follow along with us throughout the lesson and try some on their own. The next slide will be an explain. Click the mic and explain your reasoning. Just a chance for students to articulate what they're thinking, and teachers then can kind of gather some feedback that way. The next slide will be independent practice done by the teacher. So students can watch once again some guided practice, how to do the problem, follow along with inside their math book. Students will then be asked to show some mastery or their understanding with also not just doing the problem with their pencil, but also explaining their thinking throughout the problem, just so teachers then can provide some quality feedback.
Jared, I just want to pause you on that last one. How did you get that problem into your Seesaw slide?
This one,
That picture there, yeah.
to get a problem like this within the slide in Seesaw, I cut, and it's actually a snippet from the math curriculum McGraw-Hill book.
So you have the McGraw-Hill book open, and then what did you do on your computer to get it to take a snip?
I used the snipping tool, and then I copied that into Seesaw.
Okay. And then you have your question up there, and I see a play button next to the question.
Depending upon, primary or your grade level, having a directions read aloud can also be pretty powerful for students.
Great.
So this is just an option that you can use. It's not on every slide, but it is something that is available to you. And then depending upon what the lesson entails in regards to content, sometimes you'll see another problem, another guided practice problem with another independent problem. And then finally at the end is taking a picture of their homework and sending it back to the teacher. All right, so as you can see, all these lessons are editable, which allows teachers the ability to add more rigor or create different slides or accommodate for the needs within your classroom. Something that I just want to bring to your attention to is I do know teachers enjoy being in front of the camera and teaching their own students. So here's an option for that. Within Seesaw, I'm actually going to back out for just a second and edit this activity and go to my template. So I go to a blank page. And so if you'd like to you just click the camera and click video, and it'll take a little snippet video of you. So here's an example of one I did. Okay, so I have my lesson or my little video here, and then you can just drag it to the size you need. And then to get it onto another slide, just Control X is just how you cut something. And then let's just say I want it on this slide right here. So I Control V, which is my paste. And then I can have this little video here if I would like to have further instructions or the students to be able to listen to me. And if you'd like to read the directions out loud, what I do is just open up a new page, use the microphone and start a recording. And then this will pop up in your screen. Make it the size you want. Once again, Control X, and then go to the page that you'd like, and then Control V, and it pastes it there for you. And make it the size you'd like, and then lock it in place. Locking text boxes in place was a learning curve for me because I'd get a lesson back and kids were moving the boxes all over the place. So make sure you're doing that after every lesson. Something else I'd like to highlight, and I unfortunately learned the hard way, was make sure when you are wanting a student response that you're putting it in the template here, not the example. If you want any sort of response, it goes here. This is just the icon that allows for easy identification for students for being consistent across our grade level.
And Jared, can you tell them about how you purposefully didn't add voice instructions as well?
Yep. We didn't add voice instructions just so that teachers then can have the ability to edit. So if by chance this math talk question was just something that you didn't feel fit the lesson or you just weren't needing a response, then you could just delete this and renumber, take the slide out within this template, and then you can record your own voice.
And so where can they go to find these lessons, Jer?
To find these lessons, under the school and district activity library in Seesaw, and then you can toggle down to your grade level and math. And then they'll be here for you then to click the heart to add to your library, and then you can edit as you deem fit.
So you have to heart it to add it to your library. I think that's a key part that maybe people might forget. And just want to say out loud that Jer and Steph and Steve, and remind me of the last.
Mrs. Edwards.
Mrs. Edwards have all put in a ton of work. They've been very vulnerable in sharing their work. There's definitely a level of vulnerability to create lessons for others, especially in such a frantic kind of high needs time. These lessons are available for you to use. They're available for you to adapt, or they're available for you to just get inspiration from. And some people prefer to do their own lesson, and that is totally okay. And you will not hurt anybody's feelings if you don't use these lessons, but they are here for you to use as you see fit. And who knows, maybe we won't even need to use them. And so it's a kind of a moot point, but just thank you, you two and the others, for putting in this work. It's a lot of, just a ton of additional work, and people really appreciate it. And thank you for kind of going over how you approach creating math lessons on Seesaw as well.
You are very welcome. It's our pleasure.
Ta-da!
Like
There we
that?
go.
Boom.